This segment has been sponsored by Pro Bikes Caribe. Pro Bikes Caribe, get yours today. Before we get into today's interview, hear a little bit about the book from the author themselves.
Hi, my name is Keisha Shurland from the beautiful island of Barbados. I am the author of the 30-Day Money Mindset Journal. This is a guided journal which helps you to change your mindset towards money by offering practical exercises, affirmations, and scripture references, along with ideas on how to save and earn money. My journal is available on Amazon, and you can also find it at Days Bookstore in Bridgetown, Barbados.
Greetings, listenership. Welcome to TLC, Tropical Literature Creatives, the podcast where we interview authors of Caribbean heritage about themselves and about their literary work. Today we have with us author Keisha Shurland of the book Journey with Keisha, 30-Day Money Mindset Journal. Keisha, welcome to Tropical Literature Creatives.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, Keisha.
Okay, well, my name is Keisha Shurland. I'm from Barbados. I hold a degree in social work. I love
Ah,
helping people. From the
mhm.
time I knew myself, I was always the one to encourage and to help people and to give them a positive word. When I am not writing my journal, the 30-Day Money Mindset Journal, I can be found reading, baking, listening to music, spending time with family and friends. So those are the things that I like.
Okay.
Also, and that some of those things are in the journal as well because it has in some scriptures as well. That's just a
Ah,
bit of
okay. Uh, Personally, I think that your journal is interesting because usually some persons they think that going the way of religion or spirituality doesn't entirely coincide with money. That person should have sort of like a bad relationship with it. And I think that's one of the first things that you identify from an early age where we have a negative relationship with finances.
Yes, for sure. Because as Caribbean people or even African Americans, we come up hearing that, money doesn't grow on trees and
Mhm.
those sort of things. Some of us came up poor where we had to wear like hand-me-down clothes from our
Mhm.
older siblings or relatives. So we always come up with that sense of lack, that there's not enough money to go around. So this journal basically addresses that kind of scarcity mindset and changes it into an abundance mindset as it relates to money.
So it all starts in the mind. It all starts.
Yes.
But before we get into the book proper, I just want to ask you a bit of questions about yourself and also how it is that this book came to be. You told us about Barbados, you told us a bit about your qualifications. Now, the
Yeah.
book itself, is it a self-published book or do you go through the traditional publishing methods to bring it about?
Okay, well, it's a self-published book with the help of Passionate Words Editing Services. The
Hmm.
book came to be because back in 2015, 2016, I was in a bit of debt and I took on a second job along with my 9 to 5 in order to pay off debt and just learning about personal development during COVID and a little bit before. I decided, you know what, Keisha, what you're learning, maybe it can help someone else. So that is how the journal came about. My own personal journey towards paying off that debt, which was a car loan, a debt from a friend. So that is how the journal came about.
And I see how it coincides with what it is you told us before about your mindset and always being in a place where you want to help. So here it is, you're in a situation, you overcome the
Exactly.
situation, and you find a way to help persons as well. And that is very commendable.
Thank you very much.
Uh, why did you choose the way of self-publishing as opposed to traditional publishing?
I guess because I knew Robert from before. He's the owner of Passionate Words. And also, I wanted to see how the process is, seeing it from being just words on a paper. Because I actually wrote it in a notebook.
Ah,
I wrote it in a notebook to seeing it come to being an actual journal, So I just wanted to see that process and be involved in everything as it relates.
okay, okay. Did anyone help you in terms of contributing to the content of the book, whether giving advice, giving direction, seeing whether your financial advice was sound or not that you used to get yourself in that frame of mind? Did anyone contribute in this regard towards the development of the book?
Not really. Honestly, it was just, I guess, me and God.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
just being able to know that how I wanted the book to flow. So that was important. Even after I wrote the journal, how I wanted it to flow, where I wanted the scriptures to be. where I wanted the affirmations to be, and just having those quotes already, the quotes that you will see in the journal, and see where best they can be applied in whichever chapter or week you're doing in the journal. So basically, it was just me for the most part in terms of doing it. Yeah, in terms
Um,
of writing it.
in terms of writing, is this your first experience having like a written and published book, or have you done anything else before? Have you written professionally?
No, this is my first time. So this is my very first published work. So I decided to do a journal before I did a novel because you have to start somewhere. And plus, I wanted to help others. I figured that this was a good thing to do. And it's not a market that is saturated. Because even though people talk about money in terms of budgets, in terms of saving and investing, this is more working on your mindset, working on principles such as gratitude, manifestation, the affirmations, and the power of sowing and reaping and different things like that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Can I ask why did you choose this particular topic? I know that you spoke about your experience, etc., but based on your qualifications, you seem to be a subject matter expert in the field of, is it social work?
Yeah, social work. I would trace social work.
Okay, so you're a social worker and you're giving financial advice. I mean, that is a very interesting dynamic.
I was okay from the time I was very young. I was always okay. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was what I wanted initially before everything going to school. I wanted to be a cosmetologist and own my own restaurant. So I always had an interest in business, things related to business and finance and marketing. But I chose the route that I chose in terms of getting a university degree because that is something one of my family members told me to do so that I will have a secure job. We get those things. So I deviated from that path to attend the University of the West Indies to do social work.
Okay. In your experience, has going along that particular path, has it been of use to you in the development of the book, or were there any other skills that you think would have assisted you better in putting it together? For example, you identified that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and putting up together a book like this is something along those lines. Do you think doing a course in, for example, in let's just say graphic design to put the book together, doing a course in, let's just say financial management to give you a better edge or a better understanding to understand things from a financial perspective. Do you think doing courses along those lines would have helped you better? Or would coming from the side of social work, would that have been enough? Would that have helped you better in terms of putting the book together?
Well, I think that you can get inspiration and help from both places. But in terms of social work focuses on empowerment. So this book is more about empowerment and mindset other than the financial. But I have no problem because I'm always someone who's willing to learn new things. And I don't think you're ever too old to learn something new.
Okay. Uh, Being in your field in social work, do you encounter persons with a lot of financial problems and you have to give advice and direction to them?
Yes, I was involved in a project. We were dealing with poverty alleviation. So that was the main focus. The family's main focus was the fact that they were very, very poor. These are very, very poor families here in Barbados. So I was on that project. So I saw it firsthand. And the main thing was mindset and just priorities, getting like priorities.
Oh, okay, okay. How has the reception of the book been so far?
So far, the reception has been good from friends, some work colleagues purchased the book, strangers purchased the book through my Instagram channel because that channel is about encouragement and Christian inspiration and that sort of thing. So it has been good.
Uh,
I am great.
you had mentioned that persons get copies of your book through your Instagram or through your Instagram account, they are able to contact you there. In putting this book together, have you had to learn any additional skills in terms of marketing, in terms of advertising?
Yes, for sure, because one of the things that I didn't do was to market before the book was published. So going forward, I learned that it's important to do that and to get pre-orders for the journal and those sort of things. So in terms of that, I learned like those skills, the importance of doing that, and you have to be really consistent when you're writing, when you have a published work and you want it out there you have to be consistent in terms of the marketing. You can't just decide to, promote it one day and then don't promote it for a very long time. You have to be consistent and keep showing up. And finding creative ways to show up too, like
Mhm.
reels and TikToks and all sort of different ways now
Mm.
with social media to show up in
I mean,
order
look,
to grab attention.
oh, look at you. You're a social media influencer on top of everything now.
Oh gosh. I guess.
Yeah, look at you, look at you. I mean, you said that you had to do a lot of research and well, you had to become better at marketing, etc. In terms of where it is that you make your books available, how do you decide on this? Seeing that let me give an example, that it's a book that deals with money and it also has a religious or a spiritual theme. Do you target, for example, like religious institutions? Is it that person just get the word out of your book through word of mouth? In terms of bookstores, do you go to them directly or do they reach out to you? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Okay, well, some people, the individuals, they would reach out to me, like when
Hmm.
they see me post it up. I reach out to the bookstores. It's available in Dave's bookstore, Independence Square right now,
Ah,
but it will be available in other bookstores shortly. So I
hmm.
would reach out to them, and persons will reach out to me in terms of the journal. But
Oh,
obviously, I have to tell them about it and make sure that I am present in terms of advertising the journal.
is it available only in Barbados? I mean, you mentioned hard copies, paperback, or are they available in the other islands as well?
But it's available on Amazon, but not in the other islands direct.
Okay, okay.
Only in the physical copy right now.
You think you'd explore the options of doing, for example, like an audiobook as well to cater to a different group of persons who might be willing or who might be interested in hearing what your book has to offer?
Well, that could be an option as well, because they have no problem with that. I recently started a podcast, actually. I only have one episode so far. So I guess that will be practice in terms of turning it into the audiobook. And the podcast is how to manifest your dream life as a single mom. So we talk about the same money mindset on the podcast.
I mean, go you. I mean, here it is. We're talking social worker, book author, podcaster, social media influencer. I, I mean, you're doing marketing, so we'll put you as a marketing person as well. I mean, before I think this episode is over, we'll have a number of other titles to put into that cap of yours.
Yes, I get that a lot.
Uh,
Someone want to ask me, when do you sleep? I'm like, I do sleep.
I'm just curious. You had mentioned just now you had mentioned your daughter, and I imagine that your daughter would be going to school. Do you think material like this, like in terms of financial management, that the education system is is covering it adequately, or should a bit more emphasis or focus should be placed on educational institutions teaching persons to be financially responsible?
I think there's a lot that needs to be done as it relates to teaching young people to be financially responsible. As parents, we can only do so much, but I believe that children should learn about financial literacy in school from a very young age and also be encouraged to be entrepreneurs as well.
No, I totally agree with that. Sometimes as parents, we teach our children based on what we know. So as a social worker, maybe you may have a bit more to say about stuff like this. Sometimes the parents don't know better, so they teach them as best as they do. So if the parent doesn't know, then the children do not know. So having educational systems that help with this, it would help. It really would. It really would. How would you feel if it is your book were to be adopted by an educational institution to help in financial literacy for children, for students, for young persons?
That would be amazing just to get that out there and to just get their minds right as it relates to their mindset as it relates to money. I
Mhm.
believe that the children will end up being millionaires and multi-millionaires. We will see these children really blossom and flourish.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, so I mean, so far you've mentioned a number of titles that you've had: social worker, author, marketing person, social media person, podcaster as well. And you've also given us some details about the podcast. Um, what's next for you? What other plans do you have? We're getting close to the end of the year, and 2024 is right on the horizon. What are your plans for these projects that that you have disclosed to us today?
Okay, well, right now I am doing coaching. I'm offering money mindset coaching. And next year, summer, it will be the second journal, should be out. I
Mm-hmm.
will not tell you what it will talk about, but it's a series.
Okay.
This journal is part of a 3 journal series. So
Mm-hmm.
it will be out in summer next year for sure.
Okay, so we have a lot to look out to. More episodes on the podcast, even though there's another journal coming out. If it is that you wanted to get more copies of your books, in addition to Instagram and also Amazon, like you described, are there any other channels that you're exploring to make your book more available to us?
Well, the other bookstore that I want to reach out to here is Cloister, and I will look into in terms of getting it in the Caribbean, how to go about that to get it into bookstores in the different islands.
Okay, okay. Well, we're coming close to the end of the interview, but before we wrap things up, is there any advice that you want to give to persons who are listening at this point in time?
Well, if you're listening at this point in time, I would encourage you, whatever dream you have, to go forth with it. There is always a solution. Be solution oriented. There's always a solution to every single problem that you have. Be open minded and be willing to find it so that you could go after the life that you want. And don't give up on your dreams and just think that, this is it and there is nothing more.
Okay. Thank you very much, Keisha. Listeners, you've heard it to yourself. Keisha Shurland, author of 30-Day Money Mindset Journal. Keisha, thank you very much for your time on Tropical Literature Creatives.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to TLC, Tropical Literature Creators. If you've heard something of interest or something you like, reach out to us. Reach out to our authors. Follow us on social media. We look forward to hearing from you.